Hey everyone, we're talking Star Wars because we're a Star Wars show. Thanks for watching Beyond the Blast Doors. I'm David, I'm one of your hosts. David Gilbert, Jesse Buck. Gentlemen, how are we doing?
Fantastic.
It's an exciting week because this is the last episode we get to record before we see Solo: A Star Wars Story on May 25th. Actually, some of us get to see it May 24th.
Thursday night.
So 10:30 showing, right?
I think so.
So we're really excited about that, and we'll try and do a reaction afterwards to kind of give you an idea of how this is going. By the way, thanks for watching episode 39. Episode 38? Is it episode 38?
38.
It's
38,
episode
yep.
38. We're getting to the point now where it's time for us to start losing track of what number it is, so that's exciting. So like we just said, we're going to see Solo either that Thursday or Friday, and then we're going to try and get together and do a reaction. I think Jesse and I will try and do a reaction, or David and I will do a reaction like right after. I'll go with you Thursday, I'm going with you Friday, I think. And then to get the three of us together, we're going to have you call in.
Probably.
Because he's going to be out of town. Mm-hmm. And so we're just going to have to figure this all out. And then I'm moving, so we're going to have a new studio.
But we have the techtechnology to do some of that stuff now.
We do have the technology to do call-ins. So that could actually lead into more
But
exciting
are we
news.
faster and stronger?
Faster and stronger. And that will lead to more exciting news once we have the new studio that will be sound-treated and have access to Skype. So I'm really excited to explain what that means in the next couple of weeks. But guys, just really glad that we can do this. It's been a fun year and a great episode, I think, is ahead of us to kind of wrap this thing up. So before we jump into real talk, let's just go ahead and talk about the interview with Entertainment EW, right?
E.T.
It was E.T., right? Entertainment Tonight. Alden Ehrenreich is doing a press junket for Solo. And then they're asking these like generic questions, and the host is like awkwardly smiling. And then you realize the back door opens up, and in comes Harrison Ford with a boom mic above his head. So clearly everybody was in on this except for Alden. David, I think you just watched it minutes ago. What was your first reaction to watching this video?
It was kind of funny because the first thing out of his mouth was an expletive, and that probably would have been my thing that I said if Harrison Ford just kind of peeked around my left shoulder.
And we don't say expletives anymore. Why? Because of our sponsor, the fancy shop in Maplewood, Missouri. We're not going to swear for your customers. We're behaving. PG. But no, it was really funny, though, right?
It was. Quite enjoyable. Good little prank. They had Woody Harrelson on there later on. He got to watch it, and he thought it was just as funny as the rest of us. Just a little tidbit.
I mean, what do you think? I mean,
For me, the best part of it was get out of my chair. You know, like
When he pushes him away.
that's my best Harrison Ford impression. But
Harrison comes in there kind of grumpy, but then he gets like super sincere and compliments Alden on his performance and says what Alden did with the character of Han Solo was so smart. And one, it's a sincere compliment, but it's exciting to hear the approval. And you would expect, I think, Harrison Ford to say something like that to someone endorse the performance, but to me, I'm going to take it as a sign as Alden knows what this character is about. He's figured it out. What we saw in that last couple of the batch of TV spots, feeling really confident heading into the movie theaters on May 24th because we get releases on Thursdays now, and it's awesome. Okay, so that's our opening crawl, but now time to dive into Real Talk. And Real Talk is the segment where we talk about anything that is Star Wars related that you can watch on the big screen, except for adult films. Okay, so the first topic of Real Talk is we went to VStock. This is a side tangent, but we were in VStock and a couple hours ago before we started recording this episode, and they were playing Return of the Jedi on the big screen. Man, just something about Star Wars on the big screen, man. It makes it so much better.
it really does.
You get immersed, Okay, first topic, Real Talk. Obi-Wan Kenobi movie in pre-production, filming slated for spring 2019. Apparently, TMZ continues to gobble up stories like this and become the news source for Star Wars news now, apparently.
But it's still not confirmed. It still hasn't been announced. What they did was they started looking at the contracts for those who are working on Episode 9, specifically at Pinewood Studios and Industrial Light and Magic over in London, where they do a lot of the production, and a lot of those contracts have been extended far beyond what they would need for Episode 9. So I would love to see this. Didn't they say at one point Stephen Daldry might have been tagged a couple months ago?
He's still rumored to direct, and there was that leaked. I want to say it was the Hollywood Reporter that reported that a couple of months ago. I mean, we're talking like early 2018, late 2017.
I was going to say it was probably around Christmas that we talked about it.
So Daldry was still the director that was along with that, and I don't think they had a writer pegged at this point. What I do think was interesting, and again, this is according to TMZ, the project is sufficiently along with the art department now in full pre-production mode at Pylon Studios, and along with working with Industrial Light and Magic in London. A number of concept artists, prop modelers, and storyboard artists are working as well on 2 separate film locations. The contract bit that David mentioned, I think what's interesting here, Jesse, is the fact that this report is suggesting that it is a mid-aged Obi-Wan Kenobi that has been out in the desert, that is having to battle a group of Tusken Raiders and having to protect Luke. And it kind of reminds me of that Kenobi novel that came out years ago that is now part of the Legends. But you hear the description of the movie according to TMZ. Do you think this is actually the description of the film, or do you think this is something that kind of slapped into place to get people excited?
I think it kind of got slapped into place to get people excited. I mean, my body and mind want everything that's been said to be true, but until David said, until this has actually been officially confirmed, hold on to your hat, kind of thing. So,
do you want it to be a situation where he's just taking on Tusken Raiders? I feel like there could be more done there. I also don't like the timeline. I don't like the idea. This is trying to set it up as a setup to A New Hope, where I feel like we've gotten that with Rogue One. We're not quite getting that with the Solo movie, but I would rather see this be a Obi-Wan Kenobi closer tied to Revenge of the Sith than A New Hope. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, we've already kind of explored that period simply because with Rebels.
The duel with Maul in the desert.
We kind of got a little bit of Obi-Wan action and Rebels with Darth Maul, which was kind of a nice tip of the hat to old EU stuff. For me, on a serious note, I'd actually like to see it more like maybe pre-Phantom Menace. Where he's more of a Padawan. Mm-hmm. That would be kind of interesting.
If they did that, though, they couldn't bring Ewan McGregor back because he'd be too old, and I want him back.
Yeah, the Obi-Wan movie has to happen in between Revenge of the Sith and A New Hope. There's no denying that. But I'm saying it needs to be closer to Revenge of the Sith.
On a more comedic note, I'd actually rather see it be about Obi-Wan shutting down Owen Lar's drug ring.
We're going back to this theory.
Your meth farming habits.
Yeah.
If this is your first time watching Beyond the Blast Doors, David put forth an idea that Owen could be a meth dealer in the Dirty Sands of Tatooine.
Meth. Jump back to episode 4 and then watch all of our videos because that's a cool thing to do.
That's such a long time ago. Okay, well, what I think is, and that's fine. Comedic idea aside, there, I like I said, I want to see it closer to Revenge of the Sith. And how that Obi transitions. What I want to see is how we get that Revenge of the Sith Obi-Wan Kenobi, and how he becomes that, man of few words Obi-Wan that we get in New Hope. That kind of the space wizard. The kind of out there kind of guy, the hermit. One more thing, just from this though. It seems like, so pre-production will continue at Pinewood while Episode 9 shoots over the summer through the end of the year, at which point production of the Obi-Wan movie has been scheduled to move onto stages by mid-January 2019, with the main shoot beginning April of 2019. The project is being developed under the corporate name of PLT Productions. Scheduled release date is December 2020. There's another name that's associated with this story, and unfortunately I didn't write it down. I thought I would remember it, but I guess I should have written it down. That syncs up, and I'm not worried at all about 2 movies being in production at the same time, because you had Rogue One starting up as Force Awakens was ending. And keep in mind, we had Solo going on while we had Last Jedi going on. I
don't know if that was the smoothest production on
it might
Solo.
not have been, but it shows that 2 different production efforts can get to the finish line. You have Last Jedi in December, you have this movie in May, so now we know that, well, we don't know yet, but based on pre-sale tickets with the box office, we know, I see you, we know that based on pre-sale tickets that this movie is going to make a projected $170 million in the opening weekend. So, to me, it seems that while there might be some divisiveness against the fans, there is still the strength of Star Wars at the box office. So Disney and Lucasfilm sees that, okay, based on pre-sale tickets, we can handle 2 movies a year if we get to that direction. And we might touch on this a little bit in the episode, but we know that with with the Benioff and Weiss movies, series of movies. We have the Ryan Johnson trilogy. If we get this movie, it sets up to be in 2020. So we're going to get to the point now where if we do have like a Lando spinoff or more of these standalone stories, they have to start cranking them out to a year, or else you're going to have to wait for, let's say a Han Solo sequel 7 years from now. So, Jesse, you had a point?
What if, you mentioned one of the things that they looked at was the contract extensions. What if it has more to do, because, we'll kind of touch on it, Jon Favreau's series. According to that, they've actually got some extensive work already done, for that. So they could be.
So what's your point? Like, are you saying
are they
John
going to film it over there at Pinewood?
Why not?
I don't know.
Are they going to film the TV series at Pinewood?
It's possible.
It's possible, but I don't get what's connected.
Well, in the interview, Favreau said that they had half the season scripted.
I know, but what
Jesse's saying that the pre-production might not be for
a
Obi-Wan.
spin-off movie. It
might be for one of the TV shows.
So you think maybe TMZ's source could be getting the two projects confused?
Possibly, yeah.
Okay. All right, well, yeah, that's valid. I actually didn't think of that. That's actually a valid point.
Yeah.
I want to give the benefit of the doubt here. I want to say this is for the Obi-Wan, because there's too many details that seem specific. When you're talking about an art department in full pre-production mode, and if the concept art is more if it's a bunch of Obi-Wan stuff on the wall, it's for Obi-Wan.
So I just looked it up, and it looks like it was announced that Favreau is doing the series on March 8th. So would they really? I like where you're going, Jesse, and it's a good thought. But we're only 2 months into production on that.
Hey, but you know what? Creative thinking. I like that.
Air 5.
Boom.
Yeah.
What do you think about? That was quite the moment for us. This might not
was
just
a very
be
terrible
Coca-Cola
moment.
in my cup. What do you think about the new details surrounding Obi-Wan Kenobi movie from TMZ? Do you like what you're hearing? Do you like how this program, the production seems to be really ramping up? A lot of different departments in pre-production already. Let us know what you think down in the comments below. And you know what? Take the time. Tell us what you want this Obi-Wan movie to be. Do you want it to happen closer to Revenge of the Sith? Do you want it closer to A New Hope? Do you want it to be with Tusken Raiders as the opposition? Would you like to see some conflict between Owen and Obi-Wan? I would like a conversation between those two at some point to kind of flesh out why Owen doesn't like him so much in A New Hope. There has to be more than just that exchange that we saw briefly in Revenge of the Sith,
You could do a movie where it happens shortly after Revenge of the Sith. Obi-Wan's getting a little cabin fever in the middle of the desert. He goes off and has an adventure, and while that adventure's happening, something may jeopardize Luke, and I don't know, that'd be kind of an interesting plot line.
Let us know what you think down in the comments below. Next topic here in Real Talk, Jon Favreau. Jesse mentioned it. Jon Favreau recently announced, he shared that half of the scripts for season 1 of his TV series is complete. That series is slated for the Disney streaming service that's going to come out some point next year in 2019. But it was kind of funny how it happened. If you're watching the Star Wars show coverage of the premiere of Solo: A Star Wars Story, Andy and Anthony are the two hosts of the Star Wars show. That they do that 10-minute show every Thursday. They're hosting this entire red carpet event. I think they did a great job. But I was kind of confused when they had Jon up there, because Jon Favreau casually mentions, it's like, yeah, I got these 6 or 7 scripts done for this new TV series that I'm working on. And Anthony's interviewing, and he doesn't ask the follow-up, well, you mentioned that TV series slated for the streaming service, what time period does it happen? Or what characters can you tell us we'll see? Or anything. We didn't get that. That's okay. It's okay, because Nerdist reporter Dan Casey was just off the stage and ended up interviewing him, and he got to confirm that this streaming series is going to take place 7 years after the Battle of Yavin. So this is going to happen very, very quickly after the Battle of Endor. I think it lines up to be right after the Aftermath series. So you have the Empire's End book. I think this is lined up to be right after that.
Which is a fantastic time period.
Well, it's the unexplored area, and I think it's where you're going to be able to get a lot of fans. I think I am going to get brought into the sequel trilogy era through this TV series, because I think I'm going to get enough additional time throughout the galaxy to have a better appreciation of what's done with The Force Awakens, and maybe my Last Jedi feelings will change.
Kind of like how the Clone Wars for the prequels.
Yeah, I think, just like how the Clone Wars brought in a lot of people. So, so he brings in the fact that the time of when this was going to happen, half the scripts for season 1 are already complete, and there's going to be a lot of CGI similar to what we saw in the Jungle Book. That's going to be integrated. And David, you're a Star Wars fan that has definitely invested more effort into the lore. in the last year since
Yes.
joining the show. So
I have to keep up with you guys somehow.
Right. So you hear Jon Favreau talking about this is when it's going to happen. This is how much I already have done, and it's going to be of this quality. You saw Jungle Book. You know how great that movie was. This is going to be a TV series like that quality. What do you think?
This feels like it's going to be the flagship of Disney's streaming service. And if they can really hammer this hard, they can have all my money and they can keep taking it. They really can.
I think it's crazy that a Star Wars show could be considered the flagship of their. I mean, this is all we know about their streaming service so far.
Here's the thing. First of all, I'm excited because it's Star Wars. Second, it's Jon Favreau, the man who kicked off the Marvel Universe, which is very near and dear to my heart. Third, he's going to bring all these CGI. Fourth, they're giving him a budget. Fifth, they're letting him basically do whatever the heck he wants. Where can this go wrong? Casting. That's about it.
Casting, and then what's exciting is there's going to be so many different directors involved with this series. I think different writers are going to be involved with this series. So it's a great system of check and balances. Jesse, you could get some Mandalorian adventures with this series. I mean, what's your reaction first to what John revealed at the red carpet event?
I'm excited about the timeline to begin with because I read the Aftermath books. They're fantastic.
They're a blast.
Also, you combine the Aftermath books with the campaign mode that we got from Battlefront 2, which was another fantastic story that the large portion of the first part of that story goes all the way up basically to the Aftermath era and everything. So timeline's right. You can do a lot. He mentioned there's going to be a ton of new characters, but at the same time, I would like to see some old character Wedge Antilles for one.
That'd be great.
He was in the Aftermath series. You could bring Iden Versio into this picture because she plays a vital role in the rebellion.
That could be interesting.
At the end of Battlefront 2.
Because you still see Janina Gavankar posting all the time about Battlefront 2 and all that.
So, I mean, boom, right there. I mean, she did all the CGI, green screen work. You could easily cast her, for a live-action series.
Yeah, she's definitely in person, Iden,
And then, I mean, obviously, they could kick off the series with a gauntleted hand coming out of his Sarlacc pit. Yeah, you never know. I like to dream.
I really think
that's all I got at this point.
I really think you could see Boba back. I mean, I think that if it's going to happen, I think it's going to happen here. And I think just because Jon Favreau has such a connection with the Mandalorian culture,
with Death Watch,
and Clone Wars and all that stuff, I think it's a really great opportunity. He definitely has an appreciation for that culture within the Star Wars universe. So I think it'd be pretty cool if he was the guy who officially brought Boba back, as canon.
What if he brought Dave Filoni on to maybe do a little bit of story writing?
It's got to happen. I think
gonna happen.
For the fans that are aware of Dave Filoni's role in Star Wars storytelling, it has to happen. He has to have some involvement with this TV series, so that way, once and for all, we can just end this conversation. Will Dave Filoni get or not get a live-action movie series?
He's the creator's protege.
I mean, he should be involved in all the storytelling, if you ask me. We're all three on record saying that on this show. Is there anything else that we haven't touched? I think it's universal excitement. I think I will say this. Because there's so much with pre-established canon that this series can touch upon, I look forward to seeing maybe what hints at the future in canon storytelling. We know we have Star Wars Resistance. You mentioned Dave Filoni. He's got that animated series dropping this year. So could we see any ties to that? I love when the canon can connect. It's always a lot of fun for me. Let's talk some Solo news because, like we mentioned, Solo is coming out May 25th around the U.S., and we're going to see it the night before. We're really excited about that. We got a new behind-the-scenes video for Solo. Showed aliens, droids, costumes. Really exciting. What I liked about this was the director of photography, Bradford Young, was on there, and he was talking about the technical aspect of the movie. I keep feeling like I have to burp. Anyways, so the quote that he has in here is, this is a Star Wars film about rebels on the run. Obviously not like the Rebel Alliance, but, you get what he says. One of the things that struck me was that this film had to be natural. It had to be about characters putting their feet on natural surfaces. Everything had to be coming from the right place, whether it was where the camera was placed, whether it was where the light was coming from. It all had to feel legitimate. And what was great about this was the accompanying of the B-roll over it was showing how they were really shooting in all these real locations. And I have an appreciation for that because, that harkens back to what they did with the prequels, or with the originals, and with some of the prequels. And, obviously the magic with The Force Awakens and Rogue One and The Last Jedi is they went to these real places to shoot these things. So I like they're continuing on with that tradition. But what I've always liked about seeing this movie since we first started seeing video of it is how intimate this movie is. It's a lot of medium shots. It's a lot of tight shots. It's a lot of fast cuts. We're going to really enjoy that. Jesse, let's start with you. You saw this special, this behind-the-scenes look. What stood out to you the most?
Well, I've got quite a bit written down.
He
here,
has a list.
So like you'll have to forgive me. You know, I know I'm using my phone for for my notes here.
He's not texting the back. It's all right. I mean, you can.
Obviously, I'm super happy to see the use of practical props, costumes, and stage sets. You know, we're not. I mean, yeah, I'm sure they use green screen for some stuff, but natural locations that adds
a
lot of depth to any movie just across the board. For me, though, what I really loved seeing was all the various types of aliens and everything, because these are also practical prop costumes as well.
I wonder if he's going to say the one that excites me the most.
We'll leave that one out. But
do you know what I'm talking about?
Not really.
The fact that this one confirms the Pike Syndicate is in the movie.
Yes,
from
that too.
From the Clone Wars, from the Clone Wars. They're these gangsters that are in charge of a lot of crime across the entire galaxy, and they're like these slug things. I'm so excited because we're like 98% sure that this was a Pike that we saw in this latest footage. Oh, it's gonna be awesome.
Yeah, it's just there's so much in this little trailer, behind the scenes trailer, that I mean you could go on honestly for an hour for it. So I mean, for me, props, costumes, natural setting, all the various alien types, it really just adds to the lore and the diversity of the Star Wars.
Anything tickle you in the right way, David?
The diversity is what I'm really looking forward to. They said they've used over 1,000 different costumes for this movie.
Yeah,
and that's the most in any Star Wars movie, right?
Correct. Yeah,
Okay.
And that's what excites me because we're going to see more. I mean, what's the most diversity we've had lately? Just Canto Bite?
Which was the wrong kind of diversity.
Yeah.
And that's the thing, is the fact that I think a lot of Star Wars fans, they don't want to see... I mean, I think it's great to see diversity reflective of our society, but people want to see more aliens. You know, there's like a meme going around where it's like a picture of, I think it's like the Tatooine Cantina, the Mos Eisley Cantina, like the diversity that we want, and then it's like a picture of Canto Bite, the diversity we ended up getting. Like, it's...
Do you guys watch SNL at all?
Yeah.
They had a skit, I think it was last weekend, with Lando on it, with
Right.
Donald Glover. And it's a convention for all the black citizens of the galaxy. And there's 4 of them. And, poking fun at the they even say that there's, like, lots of lizard men in vests, but only 4 black people. And
I like the, let's thank all the people that came before us. Mace Windu. Thank you. So, I mean, it's clearly something that's being addressed, which is, I think, really positive because what was the original trilogy? It was reflective of a 1970s, 1980s society, and here we are getting these new movies, and we're getting something that's more reflective of our current society, which I think is always an exciting thing. So that's the third to last. That was almost the last topic, but we have one more. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm basically looking at gentlemen right now, but Star Wars Celebration has been officially announced. It is taking place in Chicago. Chi-Town, and McCormick Place. It's not a palace. But this is going to go for 5 days. This is going from April 11th to the 15th. I think it's been almost a decade, if not longer, since this event has been in the Midwest.
I really should have looked it up because, like, a friend of mine, also a fellow Star Wars nerd and everything, but he went to one of these, like, when I was in high school. Now that's like about 15 years.
Don't date yourself.
I'm sorry.
We got to remember, though, that this is every other year. Sometimes this happens overseas. So you're having to cater to that market as well because you have Celebration Europe.
Indianapolis in 2005, 2002.
Wow.
So the very first one was 99 in Colorado. 2 and 5 were in Indianapolis. Then we get California, London, Japan, Florida, Germany, California, UK, Florida, and now in Chicago.
We're really fortunate. We're just an Amtrak right away.
Yeah, it really is because we can purchase our train tickets.
Now we're going to do it now.
Yeah, we could pretty much do it now.
I think it's going to be a lot of fun. What's interesting is they're spreading this over 5 days, which traditionally I think it's been more like 3.5, 4 of days of programming. So exciting to find out why the 5th day. Maybe it's just that they have so much content that they feel like they really need to spread this out. I don't know. I'm just really excited. They have plenty to talk about. I mean, we listed it before, right? So we have Episode 9 coming out in 2019. You were hoping it's Obi-Wan for 2020. You have the Benioff and Weiss series of movies, not trilogy. It's a series of movies, so we're implying that it's more than just 3. You have the Rian Johnson trilogy. You have the Favreau TV series. You have the Dave Filoni cartoon series. You have, if they're going to do any more Forces of Destiny, you're going to have the novels, the comics, the video games. I think the video games, people might disagree with me here. I think the video games is the one part of Lucasfilm Entertainment that they are going to have to really bring something special with.
I'm really lacking in that department.
It's the only department, I think, in Star Wars storytelling that isn't producing results. I mean, what do we have to show for it? A bunch of mobile games that are kind of lame in my opinion. I'm just not a mobile game fan. And then Battlefront 1 and 2. And EA definitely had their issues with Battlefront 2, no matter how great it looked on screen.
Yeah, I mean, like in terms of story, most recently we had the story for Battlefront 2, which was fantastic. You have the BioWare Austin division that does Star Wars The Old Republic, but that's not really a canon series. In terms of this department, though, it's very complex.
Yeah, we'll get into it more in the next segment.
Lacking, I can tell you that.
We'll get into it more in the next segment.
I want to know if they're going to stick with EA or if they're going to go a different direction.
I think they need to go a different
direction.
direction.
Do you think they make that kind of announcement at SR Celebration with the fans?
I don't know if that's something that I would announce there. I think that's something you maybe see at like E3 or.
If you have this happening in April of 2019, and you have Episode 9, which we don't know the title of yet, happening in December of that year, what is the product that will be at the forefront of this Star Wars celebration? I listed all of those things that are happening. You've talked about how you're hoping some news comes with the gaming. What do we think is going to be, no matter what, it's not going to be a $1,500 Lego Millennium Falcon. It's just not going to happen.
You just totally jinxed it, dude.
You just got an $800 Millennium Falcon. That does look great in the case.
I really believe it's going to be Rian Johnson's new trilogy.
Wow, really?
I do.
Okay.
Because they've been quiet on it. They've been focusing on everything else. They've been throwing everything at us. It's not Rian Johnson's trilogy. I think they're going to focus on that and their streaming service, but the new thing that they're going to give us is what Rian Johnson will have been working on at that point for just over a year and a half.
See, I want to think that if Obi-Wan isn't talked about until that moment, I hope it's Ewan McGregor walking on stage. Like I want it to be Kathleen Kennedy being like, "We have listened to the fans. And it is clear the next movie we need to make is," and then you just have Ewan McGregor walk on stage. I think that'd be really great.
Boba Fett, Daniel Logan.
Oh, well, we can all dream, I guess, Jesse. I actually thought if there was going to be any movie, that would be the Benioff and Weiss movies. I think there's a lot of excitement there.
Yeah.
And I think you could get a lot of the older fans and the core fans excited if they were to come out and confirm it's going to be Knights of the Old Republic era series of movies. Ooh, yeah. So, I don't know, Jesse, do you have any speculation on what's the lead? I mean, if you're doing the marquee out front, what is the headline?
I think you're probably right. It's got to be something to do with the upcoming shows and series. Again, just in the gaming department, I'm kind of disappointed with that.
The gaming and like the TV series stuff, they're just such smaller parts of the overall fandom and the overall storytelling that I just don't think you're not going to sell out your convention talking about Star Wars Resistance. I'm sorry, I'm not trying to be disrespectful. It's just not going to happen.
It's got to be film related, without a doubt.
I can roll with that.
For me, this would be my first celebration. I'm hoping to go as an official Merc personally. And hopefully...
When do you send your stuff in? He's talking about the Mandalorian mercs.
Yeah, I'm trying to get into the Mandalorian Merc Costume Club. I got a few things I've honestly been lazy since Wizard World. There's a few things I need to fix, but I did a few kind of preemptive things
Jesse,
with some folks.
Or do not. There is no try, damn it. Do or do not! Okay, that's going to do it for Real Talk. If it's Star Wars and it's on the screen, it's where we talk about it in Real Talk. Next segment to you, for us, for all of us in this moment. It's a great time. Pages, Pixels, Pieces. This segment is brought to you by the Fantasy Shop in Maplewood, Missouri. We're proud to have our local comic shop as our official sponsor. Comics, collectibles, toys, Magic the Gathering, and board games. The Fantasy Shop in St. Louis, proudly serving the St. Louis area since 1981. I want to thank them, as always, for our weekly giveaway. We'll mention the special hashtag this week in just a moment. Don't have a photo yet, but we are excited that our good friend Alex, the comic hoarder, won our last giveaway. So he's going to send us a photo. Going to send us a photo of him with all of his winnings, and then next week we'll be able to share, or the next episode, we'll share with you who wins this week. So again, give us a little time to get things situated with the move to a new location, but still excited to share that with you. We have comic out this week. We have comics from last week we want to talk about, and some video game news. Let's just dive in real quick. Poe Dameron, 27. This is still right after The Last Jedi. We find out that Poe was a probe for a mission. David, you want to take this one?
Yeah, because it wasn't very good. This is the second of this storyline. The beginning has a nice little moment where Leia walks into the cockpit of the Falcon, and she envisions Han, and then it disappears. And then Nien just kind of walks in and fist bumps Chewie, and yeah, that's about it.
That's his best moment.
But then it goes back out to the table where we've got Finn, Poe, and Rey. Those three people, the new ones, sitting at the table, and then Finn gets up and walks away to talk to Rose because apparently she's still relevant. And then there's kind of an awkward moment between Poe and Rey until a Porg pops out. And my favorite part of the comic, by the way, even Rey says that the Porgs are adorable, so you know it has to be true now. And then they just have a little
canon
conversation about how I'm kind of surprised we've never met before, and Poe tells a story about how where he was and did some reconnaissance work, and it was dumb.
Okay.
It was dumb.
Do you have anything to add on that?
You're going to be kind of proud of me. I read 2 of the 3 comics this week.
And he has a good reason for not reading the third one, too.
Yeah, that's true. What did you think of Poe?
So, now, unfortunately, I didn't have time to go and read previous issues of Poe.
Don't just tell me about this issue.
But this particular issue, it started good with that moment in the cockpit.
Started good.
And
then it dive bombed into the ground.
Oh, I thought you were going to say like tailspin or nosedived.
It just, honestly, it just really didn't do anything for me. I kind of felt the artwork was kind of a downgrade compared to Vader.
Phil Noto does the artwork, and it's just, for me, like, it's hit and miss. Like, I like the covers, but I think the art kind of wears on you in the issue.
Yeah.
The art doesn't bother me as much in this one. Not as much as the main line with the faces.
Salvador LaRocca, rip.
The writing on this one, some of it just, I was like, okay, that's kind of nice. But it just really did not click with me. I really was disappointed with it.
I think the Poe Dameron series, and I think the people who really enjoy it like it for the writing because it's writing heavy. It's a writing heavy series where I think if you look at the Vader run, or if you look at some of the, I'm trying to think of something that was really, the Mace Windu miniseries was very story heavy, very wordy.
Yes.
It was very wordy. And that's kind of how I look at Poe Dameron. Like, I feel like Charles Soule is a little bit more in-depth, a little bit more detailed with this series, which I don't mind because he's doing multiple runs. I want them to be different. I want them to have unique aspects.
And I want Darth Vader to stay good.
Yeah, so whatever he's doing, keep on doing it. So that's Poe Dameron 27. I would like your feedback. If you're reading Poe Dameron, let us know what you think because this is the second issue after the time jump. So they did the first 25 issues, and then they jumped in time, and that brought us right up to the moments right after The Last Jedi ended. And so the first episode was the first issue, that issue number 26, was going back in time to explain how Poe escaped Jakku, how he survived the TIE fighter crash and all that fun stuff. An issue that I vaguely enjoyed. Fair enough. Okay, let's go on to the next one then, Darth Vader 16.
Woohoo! I love this one.
All right, so Jesse does not read comic books often, but he reads Darth Vader comics. We're here on Mon Cala. Vader is hunting down Jedi Master Bar and his followers. You have Lee Char, who is the leader, and he's a troublemaker for the Empire. And then there's this whole war happening. What were your thoughts?
I really enjoyed this one. For me, it was the end of the comic that really just got my attention.
We don't want to spoil it yet, but it's a good ending.
Let's just say it involves Master Bar, some clones, and some history there.
Okay.
And he utilizes it.
Yeah.
That would have been a great code word for our comic giveaway this week.
Oh, what?
Well, if I say it, it'll spoil it.
Yeah, I think we'll stick to the earlier.
Okay, we will. Well, we haven't given it
10
away
out of
yet.
10.
We haven't changed the hashtag yet.
We could, but it'll spoil the comic for
Okay,
those who haven't
It'll
read
definitely
it.
spoil it.
All right, so Jesse had to be very generic about the comic because he's not trying to spoil it. David, can you give us a little bit more of the specifics of what this comic story, this issue is about?
Yeah, so Master Bar and his, I don't know, I thought at one point they were like maybe Padawans.
I thought they were Force sensitive, but it just seems like they're lost souls that he's gathered.
Maybe they're just kind of like acolytes of some sort, people who are helping out Jedi Master Bar. They evacuate after they find out that Lee Char kind of gave away their position when he was being tortured. And as they're escaping, basically each one of these acolytes, these minions, kind of sacrifice themselves in order to give the rest of them more time to get away. And every time they kind of sacrifice themselves to stall, to shoot, to fire, to do whatever they need to do to try to buy their pals some more time, we get a couple panels, a page or two of their backstory of how they met Master Bar, how they are those lost souls before they die. So that was a little depressing.
Yeah.
But at the same time, you look at it and it's like, okay, so Vader is the hero of this comic.
Yeah.
We know that he's a bad guy, but he's the hero.
He is.
So here he is, just
so great.
But then the very, very last scene, when he finally gets to Jedi Master Bar, I think we can all say right now might be the best part of the comic series so far.
Yeah, I don't want to. Okay, so we have a tendency to spoil just spoil these comics. And we won't do it for this issue because it is literally so good. If you like the prequels, if you wish there would have been more carnage at the end of the prequels, if you like the Jedi lore, if you like the extinction of the Jedi, if you like clones, if you like the conflict of clones and how like clones aren't just clones, but they have this ability to like to develop their own personality. If you like any of that, you will love this issue. And that's why you'll want to enter our contest in like 5 minutes. So that way you can win this comic for free. We'll mail it to you in a full back with Mylar so it displays well and stays safe. And then you'll be able to read it for yourself and just know why we're just... I cannot say enough about this comic book series. It literally, I thought the Darth Vader, the 2015 run, was the best Star Wars comic I had read in a while.
Which the Gillen run is still phenomenal.
It's still phenomenal.
We're not knocking it.
But Charles Soule in 16 issues has the best Star Wars comic run of new canon, and I think if you even brought in the EU stuff, it would still be one of the top 5 runs. It's just that good. Thrawn number 4. It's not really a run. I almost knocked off the AT-AT.
Yeah, that really. I was like, oh.
Every day I sit here watching that jiggle back and forth between the two of you.
Every day I wake up.
Every week I see that bookshelf leaning a little closer towards
Part
the
of me
door.
just wants the AT-AT to go over like classic Hoth style, like
Just, yeah.
you know. But
that would really stink because I'm supposed to move that in like 5 days. I really don't want to have to put it back together. Thrawn number 4 came out, and this is, I want to say this is the second to last or the third to last issue of the Thrawn miniseries. It is either 5 or 6. David's looking that up right now, but I think it's a great follow-up to the third issue, and obviously the third issue was, though, about exploring Thrawn and Price and kind of like the formation of their relationship.
There will be 6.
It will be 6 total issues, so this is number 4, so 2 to go. Get on this if you like Thrawn. Maybe you don't know about Thrawn, you want to learn more about the character. Maybe you read the novel and you'd like to ingest this version of that story.
Maybe you don't like to read like Jesse, so you want to go with the comic.
yeah, this is the comic I skipped.
Right, you're reading the novel. But either way, I think this is, like for me, I read the novel, really enjoyed the novel, but I like the comic better for the story's sake because it's just a lot more concise. It cuts through a lot. Timothy Zahn's writing style can sometimes take a while because I really think he writes as Thrawn, which is a cool thing. But I really like this issue for a lot of reasons. One, it's the progression of the story. One, I like the fact that our buddy Vanto gets his promotion.
Yes.
Finally. After all this time, he's no longer ensign. He is commander.
He jumps up quite a few ranks. Very impressed by that.
Which is nice because there's this line where it's like, for everything that Thrawn knows, he cannot, he doesn't understand like imperial politics. Like he doesn't understand like ranking and stuff. But I think it's my point. That's my favorite moment only because when you read the novel, Vanto definitely seems like he's helping Thrawn and he's kind of like an unsung hero. He's like Thrawn's wingman, but not trying to get Thrawn laid. Because that's not his That's not his MO. That's not what he's going after. David, you read this issue. You seem to be a real fan of this miniseries. What sticks out?
Issue number 3 I wasn't overly fond of.
Yeah, you don't like Bryce.
No, and there wasn't a whole lot of Thrawn in that issue, which...
Yeah, there wasn't as much.
But whatever. If you have a book, it's got to be a lot thicker than just 6 comics put together.
Yes.
I don't know who this Night Swan fellow is or why he's important yet. So I guess every time they talk about him in the last 2 issues, I don't get it.
By the way, nothing you've heard ruins anything, just so you know.
Thrawn does his thing where he fixes an issue and he does it his way, and it's not necessarily the most politically correct way to do it. So he kind of gets called back to Coruscant, reprimanded, and then he becomes a Commodore. So I guess it all worked out in his favor.
And what was that issue again? What was that conflict? I think we can say that much.
Can we say that? He goes to dispute it's like a border territory between 2 species on the same planet. Basically the humanoids are going over to the aliens group and they're wrecking the farms, and it turns out there's a conspiracy there going on where some of the human folk are trying to mine basically spice.
Yeah.
What makes spice. And so technically mining that's not illegal. It's
spice is like the cocaine of the Star Wars galaxy.
So the stuff that makes it's kind of like Sudafed, it can make what, meth or something. So you go and the stuff that they're mining is not bad, but what it turns into is illegal. But they're encroaching on these aliens' land to do
Thrawn
so.
just blows them up.
Yeah, just blows them up.
Not just like a bomb. Not just like a grenade.
Like pulls in a Star Destroyer, it turns on its side, and just...
Oh, man.
And it's a great panel. It is a great panel. I really like it because Chimra, I think I'm saying that correctly, which is his Star Destroyer. Thrawn has like the art on the bottom.
Yeah.
Yeah. That gets explained, and it goes on its first couple of missions.
Chimera?
Yeah. That thing.
Yeah, Chimera.
Okay, so I'm saying... Okay, so I said it wrong.
Yes, very wrong.
But CH whatever.
CHIMAERA.
The point being is, if you're a fan of Rebels, it pays off, and if you're a fan of Thrawn, it really pays off. Are you happy with that?
I am.
I mean, you didn't read it, but you'll like the novel. Just take the damn book and read it.
I have it.
All right, well, it's that time of the show where it's paid off. You've plotted through so far with us, and we appreciate the effort. It's now time to do the weekly giveaway. This week's worth of books, and we got a bundle for you because we're not just doing Poe Dameron 27. We're also going to throw in there Darth Vader 16 and Thrawn number 4. And, folks, in honor of Han Solo coming out on May 25th, 2018, the hashtag this week is Han Shot First. So what we need you to do is to go in the comments right now and just type in hashtag Han Shot First. Hashtag or pound Han Shot First. I'm going to comment there. You've entered the contest. We'll do the drawing on Friday. We'll announce it on Friday's social media.
Yep.
And the following episode of Beyond the Blast Doors. Okay, so we're going to try and be efficient there. But win that bundle of comic books. We ship it out for free. You literally just have to enter the contest hashtag Han Shot First. And, of course, we want to thank our sponsors, the Fantasy Shop in Maplewood, Missouri, for making that possible. One last topic here in Pages, Pixels, Pieces. Star Wars Battlefront 2, the Han Solo season patch. The notes drop, and there are extensive changes to this game. Jesse, those changes are?
So we get the Han Solo season. They're giving us a Princess Leia's bounty hunter cosmetic skin, as well as Lando Calrissian's Jabba's palace disguise. They're pretty expensive in game. You can either buy them with crystals or a crap ton of credits. They buffed Luke, nerfed Palpatine, nerfed Leia. Leia did kind of need it big time, and that was pretty much it. Some minor bug fixes, improvements, and everything. That's pretty much it for this patch, honestly.
Yeah, it seemed like there wasn't anything big coming out.
No, and there's been a lot of debate and controversy and concern over the game because a recent financial report showed that Battlefront 2 really didn't hit sales like they were hoping to. They kind of explain it had, because of the microtransaction PR disaster, and then them having to revamp the progression system, it actually set the game back in development-wise, what they had originally planned. So, I mean, they still have stuff coming, but a lot of the fan base and player base, they're kind of questioning. the rumor is that EA has basically kind of been, okay, you're on the back burner now, which doesn't do EA any more favors in that department.
We just need a new game developer in charge.
Yeah.
So it's a shame because, again, Battlefront 2 has a fantastic single-player campaign story. What is there in multiplayer is a lot of fun. I just think it's kind of a waste and everything, but still, I still applaud the remaining dev team that's working on the game from DICE.
Fingers crossed for Blizzard. I'd love Blizzard.
Yeah, or Bethesda for like a, I don't know, open worlds, story.
An open world Star Wars game would be fantastic. I mean, I think a lot of people just want Knights of the Old Republic to come back into canon and they can make a new game in that world. I'd like to see something kind of like the Starfighter games that we got in the mid 2000s. Now, those were really fun. Those Naboo Starfighter games,
like Rogue Squadron and
that kind of. Well, kind of in that spirit. Just something like that. I'm ready for new things. We need new games. We need different kind of games. Like we mentioned earlier, so far we got Battlefront 1, 2, and a bunch of mobile games. Remember how you had like all the computer games and then you had like the platform games? Mm-hmm. Like I still think Star Wars Battlegrounds is a great game off that Age of Empires 2 engine. That's still a great game that I can go back and play and have a blast.
I bought that on Steam and I play it all the time.
The Dark Forces games, Jedi Outcast, Jedi Academy,
oh my gosh, you
Force
can't beat Jedi
Unleashed.
Outcast.
Really a lot of great games out there that
we need that variety back.
We need that variety back for sure.
For sure. Okay, so remember. That's going to do it for Pages, Pixels, Pieces. Make sure you enter our contest, hashtag HanShot1st. And again, that segment brought to you by Pages, Pixels, and Pieces. Brought to you by the Fantasy Shop in Maplewood, Missouri. Proud to have our local comic book shop as our official sponsor. Comics, collectibles, toys, Magic the Gathering, and board games. The Fantasy Shop in St. Louis, proudly serving St. Louis since 1981. Stash it or blast it, rapid fire version. We're trying to make this segment move a little bit faster, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to read another headline from throughout the week that we don't want to spend a whole lot of time on just for the sake of time. So light speed round as you will. First topic here in Stash it or blast it. A Lando spin-off movie. Recently, a French publication quoted Kathleen Kennedy saying that the next standalone movie would be a Lando spin-off. Hours later, it was corrected, saying that the president of Lucasfilm was misquoted. David, Stash it or blast it. A Lando spin-off movie is going to happen.
Blast it, but ask me again in a week.
All right, Jesse, stash it or blast it.
Blast it, ask me again in a week.
I'm going to stash it because I firmly believe if you have Donald Glover, who's maybe one of the best entertainers, so diverse, so flexible, if you have him in the Star Wars family, you're going to milk him for more. I think the standalone Lando movie will be the first to make Star Wars a 2-movie-a-year franchise. Next topic here in Stash It or Blast It. Jonathan Kazan confirms that the firing of Lord and Miller over the Solo standalone movie was, quote, excruciating. Jesse, do you blast it or stash it?
Stash it, I'd believe it. It couldn't have been easy.
David Gilbert, do you stash it or blast it?
Stash it, but I think they got something better.
I'm going to blast it. I think that those two had derived so far from the original script's vision that they wanted someone better. I just don't think they thought they could pull off Academy Award-winning Ron Howard to bring their story to life on screen. Keeping with the Solo theory, or that era at least, topic number 3 here in Stash It or Blast It, Lando is now a pansexual. Lawrence Kasdan confirms this in a recent interview that he has always viewed Lando Calrissian as a pansexual character and wishes he could have done more with that aspect in the original 1980 Empire Strikes Back. David Gilbert, do you blast it or stash it?
I will stash it. I'm not going to tell him who he should be with, even for a one-night stand or a couple hours.
When you're Lando Calrissian, when it comes to love, you get it all, baby. Jesse?
I'm going to stash it. I'm kind of with Gilbert on this one. If it's got a cape, he'll probably hit it.
My God.
I mean, Luke kind of made out with his sister, so I can't
go wrong,
Lando
right?
have fun with an alien.
I mean, this is one of those things where I'm going to blast it only because it just was so established that he was such the ladies' man in Empire Strikes Back. He was so about Leia.
Well, now he's a ladies' man and a lizards' man.
Well, you know what?
Or a droids' man.
We haven't seen the movie, but what if he lays one on Han? Now that scene in Empire gets a lot more awkward and interesting. Then last topic for Stash or Blast It this week. This is fun. This Fred Robin, it's fun. It's like we're doing a dance. We're grooving and we're moving. Disney will recast Obi-Wan Kenobi for its unconfirmed, but probably going to happen according to TMZ, standalone movie.
Blast it. I want Ewan.
I'm going to blast it. Ewan or go home.
I'm going to blast it, but I think Disney I think there was someone in the room for a brief moment and wait guys, what if we just need a different actor? I think that it was considered, but I really think that if they're going to do it, they'll have Ewan McGregor. Okay, that was fun. I'm all out of breath. All right, I'm back. I'm good. Stash or Blast It this week on Beyond the Blast Doors, episode 38. Glad you're with us. If you have any Stash or Blast It topics, you can always comment that down below, or you can Facebook, Twitter, Instagram us. If you become our Patreon supporter, you can always comment on there. Let us know what you want to have us cover on the show. But specifically, Stashed or Blasted. That flows a lot more better. That was good. Okay, here's the grand finale. You ready? Staying on Target. Staying on Target is the final segment. I'm going to take a drink for this.
I can't shake him.
Can't shake him. I keep having to burp. I think it was the Qdoba. Love Qdoba. Baby. Not a slam.
Delicious.
I had like a 3-pound burrito. We don't have a fan comic this week, but we do have Staying on Target. And again, in light of the Solo movie coming out, Solo: A Star Wars Story, May 25th in theaters. We're going to see it the 24th. I keep saying that for a reason. We are going to say, Staying on Target this week, our debate topic is the best moment Han Solo had in the original trilogy.
Do I need my timer out for this?
And you can do the timer. Set it for like 2:45, and we can cut each other off, or like 2:30, and cut each other off after the 2-minute mark.
That way we don't hear the buzzer?
Yeah, I don't want to hear the buzzer.
Okay.
Now, okay. What was the last topic last week, Jesse?
We did, I believe, Starfighters.
And you had, at the time, you were the winner. You had won because of the week prior to that. But you are no longer the winner at this table.
No.
David Gilbert valiantly defended the honor of the Millennium Falcon, and it is, according to Beyond the Blast Doors, the best starship in the OT is the Millennium Falcon.
Well,
now,
you should have picked bad ships.
Well, in all fairness, I picked a good ship. I was so tired that I just didn't care, and I didn't argue it well, which made for probably a really terrible show. I'm sorry. Mm-hmm. It was pointed out.
I was just trying to play fair because obviously the Slave One is the best ship.
No one picked the Death Star.
That's not
a starship.
It has a hyperdrive.
That is a space station.
Okay, all right, that's valid.
That's also not a moon.
Okay, all right. So David, you're the winner. So you decide.
I'll go last.
You get to pick the order. Who goes first? Who goes second?
Who would like to go first?
No, you get a pick.
I don't care. I want to go last.
You're the winner.
I'm feeling cocky.
Okay,
I'll go first.
Go first, Jesse.
All right, starting in 5, 4, 3, 2. The best Han Solo scene, according to Jesse, is.
The best moment in the original trilogy is when Han lands the Millennium Falcon on the backside of the Star Destroyer.
The best. Oh, I'm sorry.
The backside. Backside of the bridge, that is.
Sounds like a personal preference.
This was comical, okay? But at the same time, though, this is a testament to Han's flying ability, his ability to maneuver the Millennium Falcon. And think about the skill required to land a ship on the side of another ship without being detected. Okay. Very impressive.
Like, there's not a window that someone's looking through and going, it got really dark.
There's actually a meme, and it's Palpatine and Vader looking through, and it's like, yeah, call Boba kind of thing.
The windows weren't added until the special edition release.
Yeah. The special edition.
Jesse, we're going to give you more than 2 minutes here, so.
Anyway, and then, of course, that leads into what my, Boba Fett drifting in with the debris and tracking the Falcon to Cloud City. But that's why it's my favorite moment. It's just a great Han moment.
So you're going to make your best Han moment relying on Boba Fett showing up?
Yeah.
That's such garbage.
I win.
Oh, literally, that's how he floated away.
That's such a Jesse move. That is such a Jesse maneuver. Okay.
I was feeling cocky.
Oh, my gosh. Well, my issue with that would be your over-reliance on Boba Fett for that moment. David, what do you think about his selection?
Well, I think it's a very short scene where Han really just whispers a lot and then he detaches. We don't actually see him land. We see him depart and we see them like whispering around. Not really a whole lot of meat and substance, but yes, very good flying required to do that.
Okay, so it's my turn?
Yeah.
Is it my turn?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
All right, cool.
No, Jesse still has 15 seconds.
I was reading in between the lines on it. You just assume that it took a lot of skill to do.
I'm just waiting for the moment where he doesn't be like, yeah, so I really like Star Wars and this thing, and then Boba showed up. Like the one time he just references Star Wars and doesn't have to connect it to Boba Fett.
The moment they bring him back, I'm probably gonna have like a heart attack.
I'm waiting for the day that Jesse says, I really like that scene on Dagobah when Yoda's training Luke and Boba Fett's in the background.
Yeah. Do you see Boba in the bush?
See right there.
Oh my
Okay.
gosh! All right, so it's
Ready?
my turn. Yeah.
Yep.
All right, so starting on 5, 4, 3. My best Han Solo scene would be the carbon freezer chamber. Let's just go first for story's sake. We have a point where our heroes are low. Okay, they've been captured by the Empire. They've been betrayed by what they thought was Han's buddy, Lando Calrissian. And in this moment, you have Han being taken out to the carbon chamber, freezing apparatus, and he's about to be lowered. And you have arguably the most historic moment in cinema history. I mean, if you look at any list, this is in all the top 5s of the fact that Han and Leia are in this locked moment, eye, and she goes, "I love you," and he says, "I know." It's not a wimpy "I love you too" like some romantic fool. He's not caught up in his emotions. I know. And you know what it is? It's the inspiration for our other characters. Chewbacca, a dismembered C-3PO who keeps battling in the background. Our princess in distress gives them the inspiration to go continue the fight, chase around. They end up running into Lando. They're able to reconnect, and they're able to go try and then make a last-ditch effort to try and find Han. It's okay, though. We're going to go give the entire third film of the trilogy to going to recover Han. So it shows loyalty. It shows compassion. It shows he's a stud muffin still. I mean, he could have died. I mean, he was hoping that Lucas was going to kill him off on that series. But then I also want to look at the moment that this created cinematically, which isn't really connected to the story, but still, it's just like such an iconic moment. And, you know, I know everyone kind of goes to like Han in the cantina
30 seconds.
and he shot first. But here's a moment of true character development for Han Solo. We're talking about a guy who's really been out there for himself, but we're seeing in Empire Strikes Back that he is developing himself and opening up to these emotions that he has for Leia. So I'm going to go with the carbon freezer chamber moment. I think it really gave the inspiration to propel the rest of our Rebel heroes to have the success they ultimately have in Return of the Jedi and really bring that trilogy together. And maybe the best trilogy in all of cinematic history.
I don't know if I should defend him or you know, how to pick that apart.
That was a good scene. I would have picked that if I had not picked this scene here.
I debated
my
between
number
that
2.
scene, honestly. I really did, but
I just think it's a really good moment, and it's
It
like
is a good moment.
And I like this conversation too because I'm not about to call either one of you, names because last week I was getting really mad. But no, but like it's just a good moment. It's like it's always cool to see the tough guy have that moment of honesty with himself. And man, and this is not to take away from your time, David. We'll let you obviously argue your full moment, but like the behind the scenes documentary where Irvin Kershner's talking, they shot that scene like 30 something times, and it just never felt natural. And he and Harrison were like, "Oh, what do we do?" And Irvin's like, "You know what? Just go for it. You know what? Just say whatever first comes to your mind. Just go do it. Roll camera, action." And then it's just, I know, and it's just 2 words. It's improv. But that moment really that's the movie right there.
That's the good improv in Star Wars. Do you think that Lord and Miller would have had good improv like that?
Yeah. We need you to leave.
I don't
We know. You're fired. We know.
Okay, well, guys, both of those are great moments, but nothing.
On the
really-
record, he said my moment was great, and so did he.
It is a great moment.
So far, I think I'm feeling pretty good.
But nothing gets my Han Solo juices flowing better than that
gosh.
very first scene where we meet Han and he just steals the show, and in my opinion, the entire trilogy. The man made one hell of a great first impression when I was a kid. And every time I watch it, I just get reinvigorated by how awesome he is.
What is the moment again?
This is the cantina
Did
scene.
you mention that yet?
No.
Okay.
I haven't gotten there. If you'll let me read my piece, thank you, because I prepare.
now just to specify, you're talking about the moment we first meet him, not the moment with him and Greedo.
This is the scene. We said scene. So let's set the stage here. We're in the cantina. Somebody says to Luke, "I don't like your face. I don't like it either." And Obi-Wan just slices the guy's arm off. So it's a pretty hostile environment. And then we see Han Solo. And what does he do? He's talking to this guy who's openly violent in the middle of a bar. I mean, that takes some stones to do. And what does he do? He plays hardball with this space wizard with a laser sword. Right there, arguing the price, talking about how awesome he is, how fast his Millennium Falcon can go. This is where you first get that lovely little line about it can go faster, the Kessel Run in 12 parsecs. Just that borderline arrogance that really gets me excited. And then he finally closes the deal, and the Space Wizard gets up, Greedo corners him, and Han shoots first. And now here's my favorite part of the whole thing right here, because you have to set the stage. After he gets up, Greedo's body slumps over. He flips a coin to the bartender and says, "Sorry about the mess." Right there. Han Solo. Hashtag great first impression.
You know, that reminds me, Han Shot First, that is the Patreon exclusive shirt that Beyond the Blast Doors has right now. If you become our Patreon supporter, we actually have our first official commissioned shirt. Not the logo shirt, but Han Shot First. A good friend, Steve Garrett, made that shirt. But to go to your argument, I mean, I think it's the go-to moment. I think it's pretty iconic for a lot of reasons. What do you go and talk about when you go to Star Wars Celebration or to any kind of con? You're always talking about, like, Han Shot First, right? Like, oh, no, Greta did. And then you're like, oh, you must have grown up on the special editions. I'm sorry.
Just that little coin flip, Sorry about the
coin flip,
mess.
yeah, that's...
Right there.
It's pretty smooth.
Like, seriously, in the last, 3 hours, I've watched every Han Solo scene trying to find my favorite one. That one stuck out.
And because of that, he had to have shot first. Because if Greedo shoots first, why do you flip a coin?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? All right, so I think we three of us had a really good argument. I like my argument the best. But as
partial
always,
to mine.
You get to decide watching or listening at home. So comment down below. Do you like the Falcon locking onto the back of the, I guess it was the Super Star Destroyer, right?
I think it was just a regular Star Destroyer.
Regular Star Destroyer, okay. Do you like Han Shot First? Or do you like my very compelling argument about the carbon freezer chamber scene? Okay, very compelling. I talked about the emotion, the gravitas that carried, the inspiration, how that syncs up to Return. I had a great argument, and I want to let you know that before you start casting your votes. But let us know down in the comments below. And as always, you can send us your Star Wars questions for FanComLink. You can send us topic ideas for staying on target. If you have things that you want us to tackle in real talk, let us know. We just want your input. That's how we have a Star Wars conversation. Because it's movies. It's shows. It's toys. It's cosplay. It's a Star Wars conversation. Gentlemen, episode 38. We did it.
In the bag.
We did it. It's in the bag.
We did it in the bag. This is the last show we'll have in the studio, in the R519 studio in Quincy, Illinois. Next time you see us, we'll be in the new studio. Not sure quite how it's going to be set up. We've talked about some changes that we're going to make. It's going to be some new. It's going to be some old.
The anti-grav feels are going to really make the show pop.
Oh, yeah. That's really good. I'm really hoping for like a... I kind of want to design it like this Destroyer bridge. Just have the V window frame and everything.
I thought about when I get my own place, setting it up to look like the inside of Camino, but I kind of feel like it'd make me look like a psycho. So,
well, more power to the woman that lives there with you.
Easy to clean, though. Think about it.
It's a lot of white. That would be terrible.
Well, I mean, you just wipe it off.
Absolutely terrible. That's going to do it for episode 38. Thanks for joining us on a show where we just talk about Star Wars for an hour, because that's what we think is the best use of our time.
Yep.
As young professionals. So, David, appreciate you. Jesse Buck,
David.
I appreciate you. David, yes, I appreciate you too.
Oh, good Lord.
It's been a great week, and we hope to see you soon. Be sure you comment down below, hashtag Han Shot First. Next time we see you, we'll have seen Solo: A Star Wars Story. We cannot wait to talk about it with you. May the Force be with you. If you haven't already, go ahead and smash that subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. You can watch other videos just like this one right now by checking out these videos on your screen. And by the way, thanks for checking out Beyond the Blast Doors.